Well, welcome everyone to the Fresno Irrigation District Centennial video premiere. We're so excited that you all can join us this morning. My name is Ryan Jacobsen, and I know many of you out there probably know me from my day job, but not a lot of folks know that I actually serve on the board of directors for the Fresno Irrigation District. Served on there well over a decade at this point, and have the incredible honor right now of serving as president of the board during this, what I would consider to be a very historic year, our Centennial celebration. Joining me today, we have two great colleagues, Mr. Bill Stretch, our general manager, as well as Jeff Aiello, who is the producer of the movie. I'm going to get to a little bit more of a formal introduction to them in just a second, but I want to kind of set the premise for why we're here today. I want to begin with, obviously the COVID situation has changed the dynamics of this particular film premiere just a little bit. I think all of us were kind of envisioning the red carpet, popcorn, soda, whatever you like. In fact, I don't know if we have a chat feature here. I'm sure everybody could throw out their favorite video food here, but hopefully somebody likes Raisinets out there. I mean, we are talking Fresno Irrigation District, where most of our raisins are grown through for the nation, are grown right here in our backyard. But we're here most importantly to talk about and chat about the incredibleness of what this district provides for this region. We're going to hear a lot about history. And I think what was important for us as we celebrate the Centennial is to recognize the true rich history that this organization has, but also looking forward. We're looking at our current structure as well as going forward and what role this district is going to play going forward. Our tagline for the year is 100 years of conveyance, commitment, and customer service. And I think everybody out there, pretty much when I say Fresno Irrigation District, the first thing you're going to think of is water. But that's not where I want to start today. I want to start probably somewhere a little bit different, and it's people. And that's going to be the resonating theme that you see throughout this video is people, because it's people what truly makes this happen. Water, the movement of water is, a bunch of infrastructure. There's, some gravity involved and some other mechanisms that make it from point A to point B. But it's the people that over the past, and we keep saying 100 years, but, truly 150 years that have done some remarkable things there. And this is from our accounting department to our engineering department to, the water service operators that are out in the field that just do an incredible job of making sure this all works as seamlessly as possible. Many of you out there may not even really be familiar with what the Fresno Irrigation District does. And I hate to say it this way, but it's because we're pretty good at what we do and we're not making the news because we're able to get that water delivered from point A to point B. And then also, it's a time to reflect on, you think about the men, and yes, it was mostly men who 150, 125 years ago with horses and mules, and probably this valley's most notable invention, the Fresno scraper, dug so much of the infrastructure that you physically see throughout the cities of Fresno and Clovis today. It truly is an amazing feat when you think about it, particularly on a day in which it's supposed to reach, I think, 110 outside. And so you look at the folks that made this district through the beginning of time, the Moses churches, who played a very instrumental role in where we are today, to more recently, our recently retired general manager, Gary Serrato. These visionary leaders really did leave a legacy that we're living off today, and we really appreciate all they did for us. And when we talk about water, one of the most notable quotes I love talking about from the California Farm Water Coalition is "Food grows where water flows," and we're here talking about water flowing today. The Fresno Irrigation District is truly remarkable when you look at, this valley's agriculture economy. We know the valley ag economy is really, based upon agriculture and what we're able to do. But it's also worth mentioning that none of this happens without water. And so the water that we're talking about truly makes this desert bloom. And we're talking about a district that has done a phenomenal job for now 100 years of helping get that water from the crest of the Sierra all the way down to taps here in the cities of Fresno and Clovis. And so with that, I have the great opportunity to introduce our general manager of the district, Mr. Bill Stretch. While Bill has kind of a newer face for some of you out there, he's been our GM just over a year. Bill's no stranger to the district. He's been around for about 20 years now, 2 decades. And so we're very pleased to have him in this position. And so Bill, I'm going to kick it off with you.
All right, thank you, Ryan, and thank you to everybody out there that's tuned in to our live event and to view our Centennial video. First of all, I would just like to say what a fun project this was, and I'm so very proud of the way it turned out. And I want to give a shout out to Jeff Aiello, the producer. He just did a phenomenal job. He's such a pro to work with, and so thank you for that. When I took over as the general manager a little over a year and a half ago, one of the areas that I wanted to focus more on was communicating with our growers and our stakeholders. And so combined with the Centennial video that you're going to watch, also FID, we just published our first annual report that we've published in some time, and that's on our website at fresnoirrigation.com. So between those two documents, the report and the video, you're going to have a much better understanding of the history of FID, who we are, and what we do. The primary role that FID serves in our region, our communities, is that we protect and manage the surface and groundwater supplies of the future and the present needs of the district. So like Ryan said, most people probably recognize FID as we convey water to our farmers during the irrigation season. We actually do far more than that. One example is we have partnerships with the cities of Fresno and Clovis. They have 3 surface water treatment plants that we provide surface water to. And also there's over 90 basins scattered around the urban area that we divert water into throughout the year for groundwater recharge purposes. We also aid the Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District during the winter months to route the stormwater through the rural and urban areas. And FID has built facilities and infrastructure and basins to capture every drop of that water, make sure it doesn't leave our region. That's very important to the groundwater aquifer. FID is unique in several ways. One is that we're a very large district. We're one of the largest in California and in the Western United States for that matter. We're at 250,000 acres. And with that, we have over 8,000 customers. And we deliver, on average, 500,000 acre-feet per year. So that's roughly the same amount of volume or water that's in Millerton Lake behind Friant Dam, or half of what's in Pine Flat. That's a tremendous amount of water. And with that, with being a large irrigation district, we have a lot of infrastructure to operate and maintain. We have 700 miles of canals and pipelines. We have over 700 acres of basins that are dual use. We use them both for regulation and for groundwater recharge purposes. And we have over 4,000 diversion points for our customers. In regards to our current water supply, we're looking at about a 55% year. And so what that means, or what it translates into, is about a 3-month irrigation run for our growers. So we started delivering water on May 1st. So you see water in our canals right now. And currently, we're planning to end the season at the end of July. While I'm hopeful there's more snow up there than we think, and we get some summer storms, I'm just to be conservative, I think we're going to keep it at a 3-month run. But time will tell here in the next few weeks. I'll know more. And if it changes, I'll let everyone know sooner than later. And I'll just wrap up my discussion here by saying that I'm so honored and blessed to be the general manager of the Fresno Irrigation District. And as I look into the future, there's a lot of big challenges ahead. One, first and foremost, is protecting those precious water rights that we have, which is the linchpin to the water supply that we have for this district. And without those, Fresno would not be what it is today. Two, we have a lot of aging infrastructure, and we need to address that over time. 3, that there's some groundwater legislation that was passed several years ago known as SGMA, and that's a very serious issue that FID has helped lead in those discussions and the formation of our Groundwater Sustainable Agency. We're part of the North Kings GSA led by Cassie Chahan. And I'll end with, as we want to continue to be that leader in the water world, both for surface and groundwater supplies. And with that, Ryan, I'll kick it back over to you.
Well, fantastic, Bill. Yeah, thank you so much. A great overview of the district, and you're going to learn a lot more about that as we go through the film here. But I'm going to turn it over to one of the most awesome guys I know. He's part, I want to say madman, part creative genius, part a little bit everything else. God bless his partner in life, Jill, who kind of steers him in the right direction there. But Mr. Jeff Aiello is just an incredible individual. He's of 1830 Entertainment. Jeff is known for national shows like Motion, Outside, Silent Sacrifice, American Grown. He's been on the Travel Channel, I think National Geographic, you name it, Super Bowl commercials. The guy has a little bit of everything on his resume, but most importantly today, he has the Fresno Irrigation District Centennial video to add to that resume. And so, Jeff, talk about this film.
I'll tell you what, thank you for that very kind introduction, Ryan. I love you guys, and this has been a great project to work on. I've become a water nerd since doing Tapped Out, the water documentary we did for Valley PBS a few years ago. And that sparked a whole new interest and passion for me in how water works in California. And I really became an advocate for agriculture through that process and the importance of water, obviously, with agriculture. One of the things I love about being a documentary filmmaker is what I get to learn through the process, what I get to, the things I get to discover while we're making the film. And so I knew a little bit about FID going into this based on some work I've done on Tapped Out and some other stuff, but I didn't understand the rich history that was involved and the foresight of the people that made decisions, big financial decisions 150, 120 years ago to secure water rights so that this place could grow both agriculturally and metropolitan-wise in one of the great cities of California, in the great areas of California. So as I dove in and got to interview Bill, I got to interview you, Ryan, and a lot of the other staffers with FID, combining that with I love to shoot agricultural scenes. I love the beauty of agriculture. I love the beauty of this valley. I think when you fly over it in a plane, everybody looks down and they see the green checkerboard. But when you get down at a closer level and you see the people working in the fields and you see all this work that goes into supplying our food, and then the unseen work that you guys do in partnership with the city of Fresno, city of Clovis, and the flood control district to make us safe in these cities and provide good, clean drinking water. I think people are going to be fascinated when they see the video to learn a little bit of that history. I also want to thank you guys for doing a good job historically keeping a great archive of old photographs. I also want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Laval and the Pop Laval Foundation for letting us use a couple of those photographs that are in the film as well. And so I think combined, to me, I'm just honored to have the opportunity to help celebrate an important organization like FID on a great milestone like a 100-year milestone is.
Yeah, fantastic, Jeff. And I'm hoping we have some other water nerds out there right now because it's time. We're going to turn the video on. I hope you all enjoy it. We're very proud of what not only the Centennial accomplishment, but the incredible work Jeff did about telling the rich history that we have over the course of the last 150 years. So with that, let's show it.
Well, it's been 100 years since the Fresno Irrigation District was established in 1920, but it's not as well known that actually it's been 150 years since the irrigation history in the Fresno area began. That was in 1870, and right out here where the Fresno Canal headgate is now is where construction began in 1870 on the Fresno Canal, which was the first canal to bring water into the Fresno area and was responsible for so much of the development in what is now Fresno as well as Clovis.
The predecessor to the Fresno Irrigation District went down and bought a lot of land downstream on the Kings River that had historically had some riparian rights, and they transferred all those water rights up to the Fresno Canal and Irrigation Company, and they were the predecessors to FID. In 1920, the legislature in California enacted legislation that allowed for the creation of irrigation districts. We're 100 years old today because in 1920, when the irrigation district law was passed, Fresno Irrigation District was formed, and they then bought from the Fresno Canal and Irrigation Company all of the water rights that old company had acquired over time.
Those of us who are landowners in the Fresno Irrigation District are extremely fortunate in that our forebears were able to negotiate the lion's share of the Kings River to come into Fresno. And with that surface water, it makes our land so much more valuable and sustainable than any other land in the Central Valley.
The one thing I like about Fresno Irrigation District, and they're not alone in this, but it's certainly true, And enjoyable is that if there's water behind the dam, it's yours. If it doesn't rain, we've all got problems. If it rains, you're going to get some water. There's no question about that.
My grandparents started farming in Kerman over 100 years ago. So we're privileged that we've been with FID since its existence in the Kerman area and 50 plus years here. You have to be somewhat strange to say that you enjoy paying taxes. But if I had one tax that I enjoy paying, it's FID. I believe the communities, I believe the farmers, everybody gets a real benefit from FID.
When I think back to the early days of the district, we really need to pay respect and think back to what they meant to this area and to this region. And I think back to just the tremendous amount of foresight, the knowledge they had, the business savvy to go after those water rights and put together a business plan to purchase the over 800 miles of canal infrastructure and the water rights that came with that.
When we made water delivery to our growers, we went from the gate and we moved backwards. And what that basically meant is we are a service provider. So the service we wanted to provide wanted to be second to none, still get the water to our growers, but we actually had another entity that kind of grew and developed, and those were the cities.
The city and FID have been working together for well over 50 years, and the city relies upon the district in terms of the conveyance of surface water from the San Joaquin River as well as the Kings River. And we've relied upon that for groundwater recharge, and then today through an expansion of infrastructure, more importantly, we are utilizing that surface water to directly treat it, deliver that to our customers, and that allows us to save our groundwater and ensure sustainable water for decades to come.
For Clovis, it certainly presents an opportunity for some great partnerships. We partner in many ways that are a bit invisible to the general public. Fresno Irrigation District provides the water to our surface water treatment plant, to our recharge basins. We partner with them in the Groundwater Sustainability Agency and in water banking facilities. Their canals and water conveyances and their cooperation and partnership with Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District is critical to protecting our residents from flooding, but those are largely invisible.
FID's leadership has always had at their origin the protection and management of our surface water and groundwater resources. And that includes things like recharge, monitoring the water level, making sure that we have our finger on the pulse in terms of what's happening with the aquifer, and then planning projects accordingly. Cities of Fresno and Clovis are within the FID boundary, and we have a unique partnership with our city municipality agencies. So it's extremely important that that resource is reliable and that we have properly maintained infrastructure so that we can properly deliver that water without interruption to all of Fresnans and all FID customers.
FID's main canal systems are about 150 years old and were constructed primarily in the late 1800s, with newer systems after the turn of the century. We have about 310 miles of open canal and about 360 miles of pipelines. Of our pipelines, about half are cast-in-place pipeline, and a majority of our pipelines are 40 years or older.
So this is the sloping crew, and what they do is they take the silts and the dirt that's built up in the bottom of the canal over the last irrigation system. We try to get it back up on the sides of the banks. It helps the water flow better, because there's pipelines at the end of our open canals, and it helps keep the debris out of the pipelines also.
So this valley's agriculture industry started with wheat here locally, and the wheat industry was, strong from the mid 1800s all the way through the early 1900s, and then, about the 19-teens sometime is when we started to see that transition to permanent crops. So the system that we have here is we have these micro misters that literally just fan the water out and cover the whole root zone of these almond trees here. It's a very efficient use of water. water. We're able to take this water and we keep it within the root zone, and you know, it really has increased our crop per drop for these trees here. But over here we have obviously the open row, and this open row is what we're able to utilize during flood years. We're able to take excess flows, we're able to turn on the valves and run water down these rows and literally just let it sink down. This, as you can see, this soil is extraordinarily sandy, and it's incredible for agriculturally speaking. It does some wonders when it comes to these trees and vines. But when it comes to being able to recharge the groundwater aquifer, this soil does amazing things.
Anytime you want to sell this land, it's sold at a premium, and there's no negotiation necessary, there's no brokers necessary. You can sell it on your own if you're savvy about land sales, and quite frankly, you're always going to get above and beyond market price. If nothing else, they realize the value of FID.
We've had employees here, some that have been here 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. They know the district like the back of their hand. And we're losing them because they're retiring out. So our job now is to train the next generation of employees, and we're investing in that. The responsibility is making sure that we're continuing to provide, to protect the water, to convey the water, to maintain the systems that send the water out to the community.
For 100 years, FID has been fulfilling its mission, which is essentially to protect and manage the surface and groundwater supplies for the present and future needs within the district. There's a reason why our groundwater supply and the aquifer is so plentiful below us. We divert over 500,000 acre feet on average, so that's roughly the size of Millerton Lake, into the Fresno Irrigation District every year. And if not for our forefathers, what they put together over 100 years ago, this area wouldn't be what it is today.
Well, awesome. I hope you all enjoyed that out there. It's I think I've seen it 24 times already, and I still love seeing it every time. Jeff, some final thoughts.
Well, thanks, Ryan. You know, it is fun to watch, and I've probably seen it. No, not probably. I have seen it more than everybody, but it's nice to watch it in its final, you know, presentation. I did want to mention too, one of the things we're looking at about doing for our TV show, American Grown, My Job Depends on Ag on Valley PBS, is we shot so much great stuff for this 9-minute video that we're wanting to, and we're making plans to expand this video that you saw into a full episode of that show, which will air later this fall. So we're working on that with Valley PBS right now.
So a little bit of a teaser here, huh? So this 8-minute video is going to be expanded. So that's exciting. And Bill, any final remarks here?
Yeah, just thank you again for everybody that tuned in. For those of you that have not followed us on our website, we're at FresnoIrrigation.com. We're also new in social media. We started getting out there in around February, so you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And again, we have our annual report up there. We'll have this video, a lot of good information if you want to learn more about FID.
Absolutely, yeah. This video will be up there very shortly. We have our, as Bill mentioned earlier, our annual report from 2019 is up. Some great facts and great information for a lot of folks that just want to learn more about what we do there. The annual report is a great place to start. And with that, I want to thank everybody out there for joining us. We so appreciate it, and look for more to come as we celebrate our 2020 Centennial year.
Thank you.
Thank you.